Gus, good to have you on here, sir. Thank you very much for joining me today on your day off.
Dude, yeah, I'm stoked that we finally were able to make this happen.
Been a
I mean,
long time coming, but here we are.
of back and forth DMs,
And
trying to find a time.
people didn't want us to do it, but we
No,
we we said, "Fuck them, we're gonna do it."
yeah. The world was against us, and
Always,
yeah.
per usual. But
Mhm.
you're on the road right now.
I am, yeah. I'm out with the Black Angels right now, working my job.
Very nice, very nice.
It's a cool job, but yeah, we're
Yeah,
up here in Chicago. Got a day off, so gonna go to a baseball game later. Been playing guitar in the hotel room. It's nice.
it's and you're a relief pitcher for the Cubs, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay,
Well, tonight they called me in. I was in town. I was available.
right. They asked.
But I think we're actually gonna go to the White Sox game. Cubs are out of town. We wanted to
Okay,
go to the Cubs game, but I don't know. Day off baseball game has become my favorite like tour activity. Started doing it on sketch tours last year, and we had a day off in Pittsburgh. Hit a Pirates game because we had a friend there. And we are like, "What should we do on our day off?" He's like, "There's nothing to do here except go to a baseball game." But baseball games are rad. So I did that, and then yeah, if I have a day off and a game's playing, I usually try to go. We went, me and the lighting guy went to see the Nationals in DC last week. It's pretty fun.
so you're a baseball man. You're
I love
America's pastime.
I love baseball. I don't keep up with it at all. Like I don't like uh follow teams or anything, but it's a game I love and I've played growing up and stuff.
Love of the game. I understand. I understand, Gus.
Yeah.
This is all making sense so far.
Yeah.
But yeah, you recently wrapped up a spring tour with the sketch, right?
Yeah, about I don't even know, 3 weeks ago or something.
And you're back on the road.
Yeah, 20 days ago we finished sketch tour and then 5 days later I left with Black Angels.
It's a nice time off.
Yeah, I just had a nice quality time off at home for Austin Psych Fest, which was no time off at all, but
Do you enjoy being on the road?
I do, yeah, for sure. It is, annoying when, like, sometimes they tours overlap because, like, my band, we started touring a lot with the sketch the past couple years, and then I work for Black Angels. It's like my so-called day job. Um, so when those tours, like, overlap with each other, it can get a little annoying. Like, I usually don't miss home when I'm gone, but I'm starting to miss it now because I just haven't seen any of my friends for, like, 2 months.
And none
Yeah.
of the games that are there, I understand.
Yeah.
Is there a difference between playing with your own band on tour and being a hired gun, so to speak, on another person's tour?
Oh, very much, yeah. I mean, with Black Angels, I'm like, I don't play, I'm the roadie. So, I'm loading trailers and tuning guitars and plugging in cables. They're super different, especially, like, contextually, but, like, when we go out with Sketch, it's like, you're 4 homies in the van together just, like, trying to find a place to crash, trying to sell merch and, just hustling, playing bars and stuff, and then when I go out with Angels, it's like, I have my own hotel room right now. There's not 5 of us in here like we do on sketch tours.
Lavish lifestyles nonetheless.
Yeah, yeah.
Has, has your opinion on touring changed over the years since you began doing it?
Yeah, I think it's improved. Because it kind of when you first go on tour, I went on my first tour when I was 13 with the band I was in called the Psychosonics in Dallas, Texas, where I grew up. Everyone in that band actually is still playing music, I think, except one person who's like a pilot now. Um, but I mean, I was like 13. They were all in high school. I was still in middle school. I was the drummer, and like we went on tour. Like I think we just went and played Austin like twice, and then played in San Angelo, Texas, which I don't know how that happened, nor have I ever returned to San Angelo, Texas. But that was like the first
Next
tour.
tour, stay
Yeah.
keep your eyes peeled.
But I know like the early days with like Acid Carousel, my old band is like when we really started like, learning how to like DIY tour. Cause like when I went on tours when I was a kid, like there was like a chaperone, like one of the parents would be with us and like driving us around. Um, So, like, going out with Carousel was, like that's where we learned, like, "Oh, yeah, this is how we book shows," and we bought a shitty old van that broke down on us so many times. Still have it, actually. Don't use it anymore, we still have it. And, yeah, like, learned how to, like, making friends and crashing on floors and trying to hustle and stuff, and I think by the time, that band folded and Sketch started, we'd kinda already made all the, like, rookie mistakes of, like, just, like, being idiots and young and dumb, uh, and excited to, like, going out thinking it's like, "We're gonna go on fucking tour, we're gonna, like it's gonna be fucking crazy," and then you realize it's like, no, it's, like, pretty uncomfortable, and it's not very lavish at all. No, it's like it reminds me the first time I played South by Southwest when I was in high school, like, we go down, we're like, "We're playing fucking South by Southwest, dude, this is the big times," and then you realize it's just like you're at a bar, and there's just, like, 20 people there, and you're gonna do that 4 times a day.
The big leagues, the big time.
Yeah, the big leagues. Well, I mean, I love it. It was interesting too, like, getting a job in the touring world as well, 'cause it's just so different from what I was used to, um, and what I'm still used to, like, when I tour with my own bands, yeah, like, we're on a tour bus and, like but it's taught me I think that also taught me a lot about how to, like, run a band, I guess, in terms of, like, how to, like, properly do a sound check and a load in and showing up on time and being nice to staff and stuff. Because that's I mean, yeah, I learned a lot from Black Angels, and they're the family for sure.
They're pretty good. They're pretty good.
A good band. I mean, I grew up it was
Shout
funny,
out to Jake. Please go back and listen to his interview on this
oh,
podcast.
yeah, I'm gonna
Pretty
show
good.
you a picture, actually, if it'll come through. This was, 13 years ago yesterday. It was me with Alex of the Black Angels outside the Granada Theater in Dallas. Facebook memories shows how
Wow,
we had a laugh about that.
how time changes, huh?
Yeah, for real. Now it's like we're gonna go see a baseball game later.
And play and
Yeah,
play
yeah,
in it. Yeah. Wow,
for sure.
that's incredible. How did your relationship with music start? Going all the way back to the genesis of it.
My first memory of music was so my parents were big music fans. No musicians in my family at all. I was the first one. Um, but they were big like fans of music. Had a great record collection. I guess it was CDs at the time, but pretty eclectic. But the first memory I have of music is the Ramones, like Blitzkrieg Bop. So my dad loved the Ramones, and he'd play them, and that was like I was like 4 years old or something. And it's very juvenile music. It's just fast, like very simple. And like if you're 4, you can understand. Hey ho, let's go. You can comprehend that. So I just remember like I couldn't even pronounce the name of the song, and I was just like, play that one again. And my dad gave me like a little CD player, like boombox. He gave me that Ramones Mania, greatest hits, The Hives, second Veni Vidi Vicious, and Rust Never Sleeps by Neil Young and Crazy Horse, which I love that just because it was loud and dirty. Well, of course, I would always just skip through the first half that was acoustic, which now is my favorite part. But when I was a kid, I didn't give a shit about that. But I don't know, like I like was obviously a fan of it, and back when the video store was still a thing, my dad would always go and rent like the Rock Doc, so like the Kids Are All Right, the Who movie, Stop Making Sense. That was the two big ones, and then like well, Ramones End of the Century. I wasn't allowed to watch that till I was a little older because it was a little darker. But I remember like the Kids Are All Right and Stop Making Sense, and Rust Never Sleeps too, like the concert film. Like those are just kind of on constant rotation in the house when I was a kid, and I wanted to be a drummer first. Like guitar interested me. Like I didn't give a shit. I was like I just want to do that. And also I think at the time Drake and Josh was a big show for youngins, and I remember Drake Bell, he was in a band in the show, and he was like the coolest kid in school. Like chicks loved him, and I was like, all right, that's what I got to do. But watching Keith Moon play and the Kids Are All Right, like in all those clips, he was just fucking crazy, and just such a character that I was just like, I want to do that. I want to play drums and stuff. And then YouTube also came out around the same time, like 2005 or whatever. So I was like 6 or 7, and I would just go on. My dad got like the first iPod, and they're always playing music. So I would just go look up the Who or the Beatles on YouTube, and just would scroll for fucking hours and just watch as many videos as I could. I just kind of became consumed by it. And I really wanted to be a drummer, like so bad. I would make like fake drum kits. I wanted to get a drum kit so bad, and my parents got me a pair of sticks first,
Good
just the
start.
sticks.
Good start.
Yeah. So I would like make pillows and pots and shit. And then Christmas was coming up, and I was like drums, 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 and I got a guitar, which is funny. But I was like 6 or something. I didn't give a shit. I was just like, this is also rock and roll. So I'll be a guitar player instead. It was 20 years later, my dad told me it was because he always thought the drummers died first, so he didn't want me to be a drummer.
He's not wrong in a lot of cases,
I
though.
mean, to be fair, look at the Beatles. Ringo's still around.
Okay, that's true. That's
I
true. But
think he was just like Keith Moon and John Bonham were really the
hmm
ones that from his
but
life were like dead.
mhm.
Uh,
The guy from Def Leppard, didn't he lose his arm? I don't recall
he
his
loses
name.
his arm, but he's still around, I believe. Still
I
around.
mean, your father wanted the best for you is what I'm
Yeah,
getting
yeah, he
at.
one of those. It didn't last long though. Eventually, my neighbor got a drum kit, and I convinced him that we were going to start a band. And then he moved the drum kit down to our house in our garage, and so I could just go play it every day. So that's kind of how I like learned to play drums and shit. But and eventually he caught on because I thought I was a genius, but he only lived like 3 houses down. He's like, I can hear you playing my drums every day. So he came and took them back. The band never went anywhere. We jammed a couple times. I had like a sick idea for a riff that I thought was going to be like the big hit, and then he didn't like it. But I was into like the White Stripes at the time, and he was into Slipknot, so there was a bit of conflict of interest. Also, he was
Men
like
of many tastes.
he was like in the 8th grade, and I was like in the 5th grade, so um, or something like that. But that was the age gap, so he didn't want to be like seen hanging out with me outside of the block.
Those are the rules. Those are the
Yeah.
rules. Is there anyone in particular, artist or band, that really resonated with you then and still does to a point now?
I mean, honestly, the 3 first CDs I told you about, those are still 3 of my favorite bands or artists of all time. Like Neil Young, I have him tattooed on my leg. That's my guy. I mean, he's the greatest. The Ramones are still one of my favorite bands of all time. Like you can't not put on the Ramones and have a great time. Uh, but it's like as you get older too, you realize why they were so genius too. At least for me, it's like okay, like they weren't trying to be punk. To them, that was like a dirty word, and it also wasn't really a word when they started. They wanted to be like a pop band, but do it like in this purest like 50s rock and roll sense. But it's just like bubblegum pop sped up and made louder, and it's just really great pop songwriting in the same vein as like Herman's Hermits or the Hollies, like shit like that, or even the fucking Archies. Like Sugar Sugar has more in common with like a Ramones song than it does with the Beatles song or something, I think. Um, and then yeah, the Hives, like still the best band to go see live. We were very fortunate to get to play a festival with them with the Sketch last fall, and we're scared shitless because we were like on the big stage. It was our first time being flown out to play a gig, and we're on the big fucking stage. It was in St. Louis, and the Hives were like 2 bands after us. But we just get there. We have a trailer with our name on it, and we like look next to us. It's the Hives, and we're like, oh fuck, maybe we can like go say hi or something. But we're playing at like 1 in the afternoon. No one's gonna be there, whatever. We're playing our set, and then I like look over to the right, and it's all the Hives just standing there in the suits, just like with sunglasses on, just like arms crossed, watching us. And I would never been more scared in my fucking life. And then of course I started fucking up. Then like I got nervous and I like started choking.
Right.
But then after the show, they came up to us in like a little artist area, and they were like started giving us high fives. They're like, "You guys are fucking rockers. Love you, dudes." And that was like such a wild moment. Like kind of full circle life affirming thing. And then they were like, "Oh, we're going on stage now. Y'all should come watch." And we're like, "Of course we're gonna go watch." But I think they were like, "We're gonna teach you a lesson," or something. So like they're the best live band in the world, and they Pele has the charisma of no one else. He's the best frontman, and so they're playing and they're doing all these like show off rock moves, and then they would do them and they would look over at us and just like wink, and I'd be like, they're like, "There you go. There's a lesson for you, Junior."
Yeah, they are, and he is a showman
Yeah.
for sure. Yeah.
Oh yeah, honestly, so many of my favorite artists from when I was a child are still some of my favorites. Obviously, like different people come in as you get older and you learn about, you know, especially like I think in high school, and college, where you kind of learn about underground music,
Hmm.
music that you have to go find on YouTube. You get into like cassette culture or just like, like the outsider artists and the underground essentially. And bands like the Velvet Underground, which I wasn't really like I always knew the name, but it wasn't until I was in college and my roommate slash old bandmate like put them on at home that I was like, wait, that's this? This is the Banana Band? And it changed my life. And now that's like up there in the top 3 bands ever. And that really influenced my songwriting and my playing and whole approach to everything.
Hmm.
Another big one was Bass Drum of Death, who we got to tour with last year. I remember going to see them open for Black Rebel Motorcycle Club, who were my favorite band at the time in the 7th grade. And Bass Drum of Death was opening, and they came out, and I was just like, "Fuck BRMC." This is my. I'm not. I love BRMC still, actually. They're buddies, but I was like, "This is my new favorite band. This is my thing now." And that was like the first like lo-fi like records I'd ever heard, and it kind of like really changed my whole approach to like, oh, you can do this. Because like before that, it was like I'm listening to like major label rock and like records that sound beautiful and amazing, and were thousands of dollars spent on this. And then like the first time hearing a record that like John made that record with one microphone on GarageBand, and I'm like,
Equally as important.
but yeah, equally as important. But then it was like, oh, I can do that. I can go buy a mic and at Guitar Center and make recordings on GarageBand on
Hmm.
my own. And that's how I started like recording my own shit was when after I heard that stuff. And it was terrible. It was so fucking bad. But eventually you get better at it and find your thing. And then but it was like liberating because like you can just put out your own records and record your own shit.
Hmm.
And
Right.
that was like what got me to get out from behind the drum kit and actually like be like, okay, I want to write songs too and shit. Because yeah, before that, I was like, until I really moved to Austin, I was just a drummer in bands. Like eventually, I did get the drum kit, and
Flash
I was
forward a little bit. Yeah.
I was more yeah about age what was it 12 or 13. I eventually got the drum kit. I didn't have to keep borrowing them, and realized that was I felt much more comfortable there. And like, well, I just always wanted to be a side man in a band. Like growing up, I was like, I don't want to be the guy up front. I tried singing once on a very early like school rock gig. I tried singing "The Ocean" by Led Zeppelin, and everyone made fun of me for it, and it was bad. But after that, I was like, I didn't sing for like a decade after that, and then my friend John, I was playing drums for him in this band, Moonwaves we had in high school, and he's still one of my favorite songwriters in the world. Still makes insane records on his iPhone or like literally it's like the crazy he just put out a new one the other day. Um but yeah, he kind of encouraged me like he started doing these like recordings of more like 60s kind of pop stuff, which I was getting into at the time because I started smoking weed. So I was like I got to listen to like fucking hippie music now. Um but like kind of I was like, "Oh, I want to play guitar again." And then I was also like, "I kind of want to try writing songs." And he was like, "Yeah, do it." And helped me out. Like would help me finish songs early on and record them. And then that became Acid Carousel. And yeah, that band was, I mean, it had a lot of ups and downs. It was 7 years about the career of that band, but made a lot of records. Um, some of them kind of bad, some of them kind of good, some of them somewhere in between. But I love them all. Like looking back on them, it was just like that was we didn't care when we started. It was just all fun, and that's, like, the best way to start a band, where you're just like, "We're just gonna hang out and play around with a little 4-track and try to make all these crazy records." And so I still credit him for getting me in, like, out from behind the drum kit and, like, writing songs and stuff.
Right on. So did you go from that to making your own stuff under your own name? Is that kind of the
Yeah.
lineage here?
So, Carousel, we moved to Austin together because we were living grew up in Dallas, then we moved to Denton to go to college, and then we were getting disillusioned with DFW and the whole scene up there, but we were playing down in Austin way more, and especially at the time, like, the psych scene was happening down there, and there was one other band in DFW, Pearl Earl, really, who were, like,
Oh
our
yeah, shout out to
and
Pearl Earl.
dude,
Yeah.
shout out Pearl Earl. I'm gonna see Ariel in a couple days, actually.
Please go back and listen to her episode after this one as well. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Also Pearl Earl, man, they were kinda like our older siblings in a way in, like, DFW, but they were like, "Yeah, y'all gotta get out of here," and we were always down in Austin playing, so eventually we moved there, and then about a year later, we kinda broke up, and, I had all the songs that were, like we in Carousel, we had a problem when we wrote too many songs. There's at the end of it, there was 5 songwriters in the band, and everyone wanted to get theirs in, so it made it more challenging. When we started, it was just me and John, and, so it was just, like, kinda half and half. So I had all this backlog of songs that I demoed out that I wasn't getting to play with Carousel, and I never wanted to do solo or anything, but then I was just found myself without a band, and it was, like, the first time I wasn't in a band since I was, like, 11, and I had, like, this huge identity crisis, and I remember talking to my friend Nolan, Potter. I was like, "What should I do?" He's like, "Just put out your music." And I was like, "Oh, I didn't think I could even do that." He's like, "Yeah, just put out your music."
Shout out to
Uh,
Nolan, and please go listen to his after this as well.
Go listen to Nolan.
We're giving people a lot of homework after this one.
Um, but yeah, and I was like, "Oh, I'll do a band or what," but I didn't have a band. So I looked to, like, the solo artists that I liked, and a big one was, Ty Segall, and, watching him just the fact that he always just did whatever he wanted was, like, a huge inspiration that, like, okay, if I do with my name, then I can do whatever I want. Whether if you have, like, a band name, I feel like that it's harder because there's more of a connotation to, like, okay, this is this band, they sound like this, then you can kinda get put in a box more. Um, no disrespect to I'm still in bands, and I love that, but I was just
Yeah,
like,
but you
"Alright."
wanted to leave this door open to more
Yeah,
things. It's
and I
easier to do
frankly didn't
so.
really have another option at the time because I didn't have a band, so I started playing a bunch of solo gigs, and,
Was that the
you
first time that you were performing solo, or I
basically.
maybe regularly?
Yeah, I had, like, done a couple solo gigs when I was younger, but it was all, like, covers, and they weren't very good, but it was, like, getting over that fear of, like, I wanna try this, and I'll probably fail at it, but who cares, whatever. Um, and then, from Ask Carousel, Lucas Martins and David Rawlinson, who were in the band at the time, they kinda came to me and were like, "You need to also do your own thing." Where you can do whatever you want essentially. But they're like, "Well, we got your back. Like, we'll play with you." Um, so that was like, okay, cool. I got these two guys. Now I just need to find a drummer. And being a drummer, that's like the hardest thing for me to find because it's someone like, hey, most of the the first, year of the band, it was just me recording everything and then being like, here it is. There you go. And then eventually we started writing stuff together. But really wanted to play with Trey because we'd known each other for years on the scene. And I was like, this is the best drummer, and I want to play with him. And my way of trying to convince everyone was there was a New Year's Eve at Hotel Vegas. They always do cover sets and whatever. And they asked me, they're like, you don't have a band. You want to do one of these right now, like just for fun? It was New Year's Eve 1980. So I was going to do The Clash. So I was like, I got Lucas and David. They were down. They liked The Clash. So I was like, "Trey, come on. New Year's Eve, let's do it." And he was like, "No way." And I was like, "Fuck." So I got David's brother, Doran, formerly drummer of Nightmare Band. He said yes. So we did the gig, went great. I mean, it was a cover gig. It was fun, but we all like dressed up like the Clash and slicked our hair back and shit. So I was like, this is the band. And Doran was like, hell no, I'm still playing a Nightmare Band. Can't do it. And then I was playing a solo gig right after that, and Trey was there, and he saw me doing like this one man band thing, and he just came up to me. He was like, "I'm in," because like he was living with David, and he knew I was looking for a drummer. And then yeah, we just got together and started playing, and fucking love those dudes. Still playing with them, 4 years later, it's been.
That's great.
Um,
How do you feel about the music scene in Austin now? Do you feel like there's just a huge energy behind it?
I think so. Yeah, like I'm very fond and lucky to be a part of that scene. I think it's very not competitive. It's not. It doesn't feel very competitive. It's very like we're all friendly with each other, but it's very much like songwriting is important, musicianship is important. So there's kind of like this, knack to like you got to stay up on your shit there. You can't if you want to still be, in the club, as long as you're like working hard and playing good. Like, it's fine. But dude, there's so many great young bands. I mean, bands of all ages, but specifically like people our age that are, and everyone's like hitting the road too, which is good. So we're kind of like spreading this message out. It has started like in the past few years, Austin's been changing a lot. So some clubs are coming and going or changing ownership. And so like kind of the spots have been changing a little bit and shifting around,
Mm-hmm.
but it's all still there. Except now everyone has booking agents now. So it's harder to like play shows with the homies. It's not like it used to be where we just text each other and be like, "Yo, you wanna play at Vegas next week?" And we're like, "Yeah, fuck it." There's email chains you gotta go through, but that's showbiz, baby.
Right, right. Um, so at the early stage of Gus Baldwin
Mhm.
being in a project, did you feel like you had your sense in music kind of developed at that point or early on?
It was at the time being. I feel like your sense of music is constantly evolving because you get into new stuff, you get tired of old stuff, or you forget about this old stuff that you used to be into. And but at the time, I was like, I've always wanted to do just a rock and roll band. Like I've dabbled in psych, punk, all like I tried my hand in all these things. I felt like I didn't really fit in with any of them. I was like, I just love rock and roll. But when we did start like the sketch, we wanted to be a punk band so bad. We were like, oh, we're gonna do a fucking punk, like a real punk band. And then quickly realized we just weren't. And I mean, we have like fast songs and shit, and there's a punk ethos there, but we're not a punk band. We're a rock and roll band, which is funny because now I'm listening to way more like actual psych music than I had in years, but I'm not making it anymore, or I don't have to feel like I need to dress up in a certain costume or anything.
Except for 80s night.
Yeah, except, dude, I love 80s night. Every Sunday at Elysium in Austin. If you're ever there, come out. It's a great
I
time.
might come out. A little bit
Yeah.
of fool though in all my 70s clothing, but that's okay.
Well,
We'll
that's
get
where
through
we
it.
all meet to be degenerates and just dance to 80s music. It's every Sunday and it goes to like 3 a.m. So, I mean, most of us
Closes
are all,
early. Right, right, right.
yeah, most of us are all like service industry people or night owls. So we all just meet up and there's like a weekly reset, you know, dance your troubles away.
So, how long had Gus Baldwin been around before the sketch came into the fold?
Oh, dude,
And what prompted that?
not long. It basically came hand in hand. Like I had been playing solo shows. Let me think about it. Let's get the timeline here. I left Acid Carousel on Halloween 2021. Was 21? Yeah. And we played our last show in Dallas. Or I played my last show with them in Dallas, where it all started. So it was kind of like surreal. Opening for Kiki Moyo. Stayed up in Dallas for a little bit with my folks, with Lucas. We went to see the Rolling Stones because they were in town. And then went to see the Hives. And seeing the Hives, I was just like, all right, yeah, this is what we got to do. And just camped out there for a little bit. Went back home, and I was like, just confused. But started playing some solo gigs. Like my friend Caitlin over at Hotel Vegas, where I'd been like working and DJing, was just like, you need something to do. So like called me um, and was like, can you play a solo show in 2 hours? Lindsay from Annabelle Chairlegs just had to cancel. So
Shout out
she
to
was like,
Lindsay. Please go listen to her episode after
oh, you
this
got an
as
episode with
well.
her too? Dude, Lindsay's my girl.
Everyone you've ever met, Gus, is on this podcast.
I'm honored to be here. But yeah, no, she canceled and Caitlin called me. She's like, can you do a solo show in 2 hours? And I was like, I don't think so. No. And she's like, no, you can do it. I was like, all right, let me call you back in 10 minutes. And I just started writing down all the songs that I had that I could play in that context and realized I had like 20 something. And so I called her back and I was like, yeah, I'll be there. Showed up, did it. And I was like, okay, I can do this. So I just started doing those for a little bit. But then, like, I didn't put out a solo release until Sketch was already like, that was in like November, December, and Sketch got together in February of 2022, played our first show during South by in March, and I think my first single and EP came out a few months later, in like May. So it came together pretty quick.
Wow.
But I've
Yeah.
just been sitting on all this stuff, especially like right after the pandemic. Like we were just at home in Denton and then Austin when we moved there, just recording all day, like kind of in our separate rooms. John would be in his room with his garage band iPhone crazy setup, working on shit. I'd be in my room where I had my drum kit with my 4 track, just working on these like weird punk ish things and all sorts of stuff. I still have tons of recordings from that era that have never turned into anything else or been released that I should
Hmm.
probably look back on. But then after that, it was just like I had started recording a record too, like the solo record that came out last fall, which took a while because it was like I was recording with my friend Ramiro, and it was just kind of like whenever we had time to do it, we'd get together. And he was in Black Angels as well at the time, so we were like, I'd gotten that job, and we were like a month on, month off from touring with Black Angels at the time because they just put out a new record. And when we'd be home, I would just play as many shows as I could with the Sketch, DJ as much as I could, and then just try to record with Ramiro. And yeah, and then I think what was it, 2 years later, we not even 2 years, we started touring with Sketch pretty immediately because we had friends from previous bands, around that would help book us shows. And plus we like still had strong ties with like the homies in Denton. So just like putting together small tours. Then went out to LA, had to play our first show out there, had a day off, and I just worked an OC show at Hotel Vegas stage managing, and I was talking to Tom about his studio he had because Holy Wave, our buddies, had just recorded there, and I was like, "You got this little studio, tape, got a tape machine?" He's like, "Yeah." And I was like, "Okay, we got a day off. Can we book a day?" Because we had started amassing like sketch material, that being songs that I didn't just come in and bring in completed, like shit we had kind of like worked out together in rehearsals. So I was like, we need to document this. Um, so we have one day, and Tom booked it. We are on the way out to LA, and I'm calling Tom, and he's not picking up. Eventually, he texts me back and is like, "Dude, I'm in fucking Japan right now. Totally forgot about this." But luckily, our buddy Joey, who also worked, he was available, so he recorded it, and we made the record that day. In the one day, we just
Wow.
fucking knocked it out.
And
I mean,
shout
we
out
were
to
like,
Tom. Please go back and listen to him, his episode
"Oh,
as
he's got
well.
one too?
He's
Hell
got
yeah!"
one too.
We'll just see. Let me see how many previous guests I can name drop.
Yeah,
This,
I mean, there's a few left on the table. We'll try to
yeah,
get them all out there.
yeah.
But
Shouts.
in a day though, wow.
One day, yeah. I mean, we didn't really go in with the intention of making a record. It was just like we just want to document what we got, like whether it's going to be a demo because we didn't really have demos of anything. I'd made a couple demos right before we left for tour because Tom was like, "Do you have demos?" I was like, "No." So I cranked out some demos really quick, made a little cassette of that to sell on tour, and yeah, just showed up and we just hit record and just played all the songs, 3 times, all live. So that's why it didn't take long at all. It's just like we'd just been playing these songs for like a year or so, been playing them on tour the previous 2 weeks, and just hit record and just did it. And we were all like, "Holy shit, it was easy," you know? None of us had ever made a record like that because we grew up in the, the garage band Pro Tools era of, like, make a record very slowly, one
One
piece at a
mic,
time.
yeah, one
Yeah,
mic.
one piece at a time, fuck around with it for hours to find the perfect reverb and shit, and we were like, "Oh, this is how, like, all the bands we loved, like, from '60s and '70s and whatnot, they just went into a room and played," you know? And it's about, like, playing together, and I don't know, you get that vibe of playing with each other that I think, you can't replicate in separating things out or, like, overdubbing things. There's a looseness to it, kinda like, I don't know, like a Rolling Stones record or something where it's not really on time. There's things are off, but there's, like, a sort of magic to that, and, like, so many of our favorite records growing up, be it like OC's Ty and shit like that, there's so many mistakes on those records. But that's what makes them even cooler to us because they were just like, fuck it, we'll leave that in, you know?
Right. So
So I don't know. It was inspiring. That's why we just made another record out with Joey again, same studio, which I don't know when that's gonna come out, but we recorded it.
it's coming. It's coming.
Yeah, it's coming.
And what was that record that you guys ended up recording out there? Was that the first, the Gus
The
Baldwin and the
sketch. Yeah,
Sketch? Okay,
yeah.
cool.
That was that record, which bears the name of the sketch because we couldn't think of another title. Well, we also were like, if you're gonna do a self-titled record, you gotta do it on the first one.
Yeah, what's with the sophomore release or whatever
Dude, I
being
hate
the
when bands will do like it's like their fifth record and it's self-titled. I'm like, fuck that. Except for Velvet Underground, they get the pass.
what was did they
Their third record was self-titled. Yeah, because the first one is technically Velvet Underground and
and
Nico,
Nico, and
and
then
then
the second
White Like
one
White Heat, then the Velvet Underground,
with just
and
the
then,
black
yeah,
with the
both
skull?
of them. No, that's White Like White Heat.
Oh, okay.
And then the third one is just like a photo of them on a couch, and
Oh,
that's
the black and white one.
yeah.
Okay.
But we are like, yeah, and same with like my first solo record, which came out right after the sketch record. I was like, all right, this one's self-titled because I can only get away with this once.
Right. So that
Now we're
that ended up coming out after
it
the
ended up coming after. It was recorded before,
oh
but
wow.
this like the sketch record just took so little time to make, and it was just done, you know. And Joey sent us rough mixes, and we were just like, "Yeah, pretty good." Send him a couple notes, and it was just done. And the mixing process for the solo record took a while.
Mhm.
Um, but plus, I was like, I think this should come out first because I think this is what we play live mostly.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, it's interesting now, and but it was also interesting because the solo record that came out was all the songs that we were playing when we started the band. So it was old to us, but new to the public, I guess, if you lived outside of Austin,
Or Denton, right?
or Denton. Yeah. We did play a lot in Denton. Haven't been back in a while.
Or the DFW.
Yeah, we don't go to Dallas no more. It's my hometown, but it's one of those towns I'd just rather not go to. No shade to Dallas. Or I'd rather not play there. I'll go and visit my folks and stuff, but
There's limitations on
yeah, I
activity.
just haven't played a good show in Dallas since like 2020 or something, so
So
I'm good
maybe
on that.
2030 it comes back. Comes back
Yeah,
around.
maybe, yeah, we're waiting for the resurgence. Um, that's cool, yeah, and I think now it'll be very much more clear the difference between Sketch and me solo. The 2
Yeah,
records
do you try to separate the two? Do you really try to put some room between them?
I didn't previously well, it's all the same to me. Like, people, like, when they ask me, 'cause I guess it confuses people, uh, I just am like, it's like Neil and Crazy Horse, you know? It's like Neil Young made not comparing myself to Neil Young at all. Well, he makes solo records. He also makes records with Crazy Horse. But then live, like Crazy Horse was always his band, you know? And that's kind of the similar shit to what I got going on.
Mhm.
But, it wasn't until we started the band and we started doing shit like, when I was writing songs and I'd be like, "Oh, okay, this one works with the band." or this one won't, you know? So, like, I think the new solo record I'm making with Nolan Potter is, all the songs that just wouldn't work with Sketch. Some of them we tried to play with the Sketch live, and it didn't work, you know? It's
Hmm.
all really, like, kinda mellow, twee pop acoustic stuff, and, so I was like, "Let's just do this separately," you know? And I'm excited for that, you know? But I'm also really excited I'm excited about everything I make, you know? Like, the new Sketch record rules, I'm stoked on it. Um, what I love about this one too is it was the first we intentionally made it, you know? It wasn't like the last one where it was just, like, kinda accidentally just happened, but that's beautiful too, but I'm glad that we actually, like, were rehearsing and being like, "We're gonna make a record," and actually practiced before we went out there, booked 3 days instead of 1, and dare I say it, we actually did some overdubs too.
Does one hand wash the other in terms of inspiration for music in both these bands or projects?
Um, yeah, I sort of. I think it's, with my approach to songwriting, it's kind of I just kinda let it happen. I'm a very, like, believer of, whatever, was it I think it was Jack White quoting Michael Jackson, but he's like, "You gotta let God in the room," you know, when you're and, like, kinda let it just happen. So when I write, I just write what kinda comes to me and let that just happen, and then later examine, once the song's done, where is the appropriate place for this to go, and sometimes it's neither too, you know, there's tons of songs I write that would either be for some other project or band that doesn't exist or, you know, I don't know yet, you know? There's tons of demos in my fucking Google Drive that I'm like, "Someday I'll do something with this," and I have no idea what it is yet.
But
Um,
it's there, it exists.
it's there, but I don't really think about it too consciously. It just I think when a song is kinda nearing completion or in its infancy, because like, with Sketch, I try not to bring in completed, like, demos, um, unless there's, like, other circumstances, like, last year, Lucas broke his wrist, so he couldn't practice for 3 months or 2 months or whatever, like, while he was healing, so in that time, I was just we weren't rehearsing, so I was just making songs, and so when we got back together, I was like, "Okay, here's, like, 3 new songs for the new record." But usually I'll just, like if I have an idea, I'm like, think that it'll work with the band, I just bring it to rehearsal, versus if it seems like something different, um, then I'll just kinda, like, work on that on my own, um, and see what happens, and sometimes it goes both ways. It's really, like, there's no real rhyme or reason to it. It's just a song's a song, and sometimes it works in a certain context, sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes it works as a song, but you gotta change the whole context. Like, I had a song that I wrote with the idea of it being on this new solo record, uh, but I played it for the band, and we kinda reworked it, where now it did work in the band context. If that makes sense? I feel like I'm being very
No, no,
confusing.
no, no, no. I'm with you. I'm right there. But with writing by yourself and in writing with the other folks in the band, is there a big difference there? And are you kind of achieving different things and maybe flushing something out more fully before bringing it to them, or just kind of spontaneously writing something with them in the room at the same time?
I think, yeah, when I'm with the group, we kinda just kinda go on instinct a little more because you have 3 other people there to bounce off of, and it's a very immediate, like, "That's cool," or "That's not cool," and we don't try to think of it necessarily in technical terms of, like, "Oh, like, it would be smarter," I mean, none of us really know theory that well either, which is good. So, I mean, it's rock and roll too, it's feel based. So, when we're writing with the band, you know, "Alright, let's try this part. Play it." "No, that's not good. Try something else." And it's same up, like, with parts, you know, like, when we all come up with our individual parts to a song, it'll be like, "What do y'all think of this? Play it." It's an immediate yes or no usually, you know? And I like that of bouncing because when you're by yourself, you'll fucking overthink things for hours and days, and I'll get hung up on certain lyrics. I usually take a long time to write lyrics, at least when I'm by myself, because I'll write 3 drafts to a set of lyrics or 3 sets of lyrics for a song, and then just try to slowly pick and switch out lines until it, becomes something that I think is acceptable, versus when I'm doing it like, when we're doing it together with Sketch, I'm just singing whatever shit into the mic until we kinda find a melody, and sometimes it's the dumbest lines that because we half the time we're just trying to make ourselves laugh in practice. It's, like, pretty funny. So I'll just say shit to, like, make them laugh, and then a lot of times those end up being the lyrics, 'cause then I'll try to write, like, serious lyrics that are like, "Nah, bring the other shit back," you know?
Does location, being in Austin,
Mhm.
have an effect, or do these little nuanced things have an effect on the lyrics or just the music in general that you're producing?
Maybe. Definitely, like, I think in my writing, I try to write about personal experience more. I'm not a very good storyteller about, like, making up tales and stories and stuff. So, like, the characters and the dialogue in my songs is genuinely first person. So I think, I mean, the city of Austin and itself, and also, like, the community there and just your friends, like, I think that makes up a lot of the basis of my songwriting. But then again, it's also I write a lot about people I meet on the road or situations I've been in or places I've been. But um, I really love like kind of geographical writing, um, where like I don't know, being a nerd. I'm trying to think of some examples now. Well, one like 53rd and Third, the Ramones song. Like I remember going to New York and we're like, we got to go find that place, and doing like our own little rock and roll tour. So I like, little hints because I've always loved that with other artists. Like on my last record, that song Cherrywood, that was where I live. Me and Lucas had moved to this neighborhood, and I had COVID. He went home for Christmas. I was just by myself at our house, like completely empty, nothing. Well, we had boxes of shit everywhere, but like nothing was on the walls, nothing was put together. And I'm sick as a dog. And uh, there was a COVID testing site like down the street from our house. And so I could just like out the window just see all these people lining up to get tested. And I don't know, I just wrote that song about the neighborhood and, kind of my experience there, like the friends we have there and all this stuff. And no, I liked that. I don't think I've really written. Oh, I did, yeah. There was another Ozzy Morton, on that same record. That's a street in Austin that is, the street you take to get to Barton Springs, the pool,
Mm.
and, that song is about being there and kinda like these made up fantasies of, like, being around all these strangers, but it's so beautiful there that you wanna fall in love with everyone there, but you don't know these people. But it's also this was an accident, but I found it out because when I finished recording the song, I wanted to do, like, a drive test
Mhm.
of driving down that street, listening to the song, and it was, like, the exact length of time to get from, like, the stoplight to the parking lot of Barton Springs, which is, like, a weird, like, cosmic thing.
That's yeah. You can't plan
Yeah.
that. You can't plan that,
Oh,
Gus.
no, you can't. No, it was a trip. But, yeah, I love, like, your surroundings inform you, whether that's positive, negative, or just passive, and, living in Texas my whole life, I think has definitely influenced my songwriting in some way that I maybe can't articulate. But I think another thing too is that, we look elsewhere for inspiration. Like growing up, so many of my favorite artists and to this day are from California. And you have this kind of like mythical idea about what that's like, even though I've been there and I know what it's like, but the idea of it's so much cooler, in as like this mystical place. Uh,
Is it possible that that Texas and Austin specifically, or Dallas, or Fort Worth, or El Paso, that these that will take that will take that place for different generations, younger generations.
It's possible. Anything's possible. Yeah, I think. Well, what's I think there is a lot of cultural exchange musically between Texas and California specifically. I've noticed, but also tons of other places in the world where we kind of look to each other for inspiration. And then another one with me and a lot of my friends was England.
Mm-hmm.
Like so much of the music from England was the music that formed us. Like people like the Kinks, which is I think our shared favorite band in the sketch. There's songs that we relate to on such a deep level, but none of us have ever lived like a working class life in England, you know, or ever lived in England. But there's something about that songwriting where it's such an like a London thing, and it has this like it sounds like England to us. And same with people like Cleaners from Venus, Martin Newell, like they just sound like that. Just same way the Velvet Underground sounds like New York to us, and the Ramones sound like New York. Like these are all things that we are so into, but you can't replicate that. You know what? It comes out in your own weird Texan version of that.
Right. It goes through your own filter.
Yeah, I mean the same thing with all those like the Beatles, man. They were just trying to rip off the Everly Brothers and Buddy Holly from America, and then they invented the fucking Beatles, which is very English, you know. But they were all same. The Stones were only into like when they started, were only into Chicago blues. Same with the Animals and stuff, and they don't sound like that, you know. So it's this weird cultural exchange that I love in songwriting of like trying to pretend you're something that you're not.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Right.
And I mean, it's storytelling. It's just like being an author or anything, or a painter. It's like it's your chance to sort of explain what the hell is happening in your head or in your body or around you.
Right. Could anything take the place of music, or what that how that fits into your life? Is there anything else that could be a substitute for it?
Unfortunately not. I think I say unfortunately because it's like, we have a thing in showbiz, we call it lifers, where it's like we're in this for life. Whether that, I mean, I've never been, not to my knowledge, a successful person in my life, but it hasn't stopped me in any way. And
Well, what is success to you as well?
it's hard to define, but I think for most people in my kind of world, it's being able to just do music,
Mm-hmm.
and not have to have all these different jobs and hustle and stuff. And it's hard, but then also so much of, I mean, it's a tale as old as time where people write about, their lives and the struggle that's in that, and then they get successful and they don't have anything to write about anymore because it's like, oh, I write about my pool and my fancy car and all the money I have.
That detachment.
But like money doesn't matter to people like me, like music is all we got. And as much as it frustrates us so much, it's like it's love, it's something you're in love with. And like any relationship, it has its hard moments and its moments of joy and beauty. Um, I mean, I think it's important. We all have like I have hobbies. I love bowling. Outside of playing music, there's other things I do to like pass the time and sometimes take your mind off of it because it can drive you fucking crazy.
Yeah.
So
Right.
I go bowling a lot. I ride my bike. It's actually a lot of musicians I go bowling with too. We kind of get together and go
Musician
bowling.
bowling league of Austin there.
It's growing, man. Actually, I've been pissed off because I haven't been bowling in like 2 months since I've been on tour. And all my friends are still bowling and they're texting me, showing me their scores, and everyone's
Oh,
getting better. So I got a lot of work to do when I get home. I tried going bowling on every day off we had on the sketch tour. We only had 3 the month we were out, and they were all Mondays. And every fucking town we were in, it was league night. So I couldn't go bowling. And it pissed me off.
I hate it. I hate it when it's league night. I'll tell you that right
Dude,
now,
fuck
Gus.
League Night.
Fuck league night.
I hate
Um,
it.
what do you continue to get from making music?
What do I get? There's a sense of purpose where, you know, you go into playing music because you think it's cool. Um, and I think anyone who would tell you differently is a fucking liar. Like when you're a kid and you want to play music, it's because you think it's fucking cool. Because it is. But you keep doing it because it gives you something and you feel a sense of purpose doing it, or it's love essentially. And moments like I mentioned of like meeting the Hives, getting to tour with Basement Red, even working for Black Angels, like these were all affirming moments that, every time I've, thought about, I think everyone has these moments where you're like, maybe this isn't for me. Maybe I should step away. You're not going to do that. You're just sad one day and you think about quitting, just like I think any job anyone has. Um, but every time I've even like the thought of like quitting has crossed my mind of like, well, what does that mean? I'm just going to stop playing guitar. I'm going to stop playing drums. I'm going to stop listening to records. I'm like, it's never going to happen. Um, it's a life thing. And, you know, as Joey from Holy Wave told me this once because we were like on tour and in Austin at Hotel Vegas, and I was just bitching about how much tour sucked. And he looked at me and he said, "It's the life we chose," and that like was like, "Oh shit, he's so right." Because those guys tour even way harder than we do, and I was like, "It is the life you choose," and we chose to do this because we love it. And as uncomfortable as it gets, being on the road, eating at fucking truck stops and sleeping on floors and or not sleeping at all, there is a joy in it. And just like the traveling, this is the only way I ever thought I'd be able to see any part of the world. It was like, oh, if I'm in a band, that means I can travel and I'm not stuck like all the people I grew up with are. Granted, they can go on vacation because they all have fucking jobs and can afford to. But I don't know. I've seen so much of the world. I've met so many people who were, you know, people I idolized, and it's funny like seeing the kind of stair stepping nature of that, where it's like, okay, I started working for Black Angels, and they were a band I idolized when I was a kid, and then they talk about how much they idolized Brian Jonestown Massacre, and like getting to meet them, how it was like a huge thing. And it's just always like that. Whoever you love loves somebody, like we all got into this for the same reason because we thought it was fucking cool and it gave us a sense of purpose or
Brian
some
Jonestown
sort
Massacre famously loved the Dandy Warhols, and
of, oh
yeah,
yeah.
cycle continues.
I don't want to talk about Dandy Warhols here. No, I love them.
Somebody should make a documentary about that. That's all
Actually,
I'm gonna
that's
say.
my claim to fame is I played drums for the Dandy Warhols once.
How did that go?
Oh, it went not that great. We were on tour with Black Angels and Dandy Warhols co-headline tour in Europe, and their drummer Fathead, he like fucked up his back somehow. I don't really know how it happened. I was smoking a cigarette outside in Copenhagen, Denmark, and he comes up to me in the alley, and he's like, "Gus, you got to go on stage. They need you." I was like, what the hell are you talking about? Like, you're supposed to be on stage right now playing. But I figured it was like a work thing because I'm the tech. And so like I went up to their tech and I was like, oh, you guys need to borrow, like you busted a drum head, you need some strings, like cables, you need help moving something. And they're just like, what do you want in your monitor? And I was like, what the fuck are you talking about? They're like, yeah, Fathead's out. You got to play drums now. So they sat me up on the drum set in Copenhagen, and they were just like, "What songs do you know?" And I was like, "Frankly, I don't know the names of any of y'all's songs, but I hear the set every night." So I was like, "Just start playing." And we got through the end of the set, and luckily, most of their songs are all the same because they came and got me because they would do like a big jam encore every night where the two bands would come out together, but they'd bring me out too, and I would like play drums sometimes. So they're like, "You can play drums," so they threw me up there. And that was a funny thing. But it didn't I was so lost because no one, usually when you're playing, you'll look at each other to,
Mhm.
like, for cues and stuff.
Right.
None of them looked at me. They were all looking at the crowd. And I'm, like, looking around, I was like, "Someone give me a cue of when the stop is, when we're gonna change." And the only person who was looking at me was their guitar player, Pete, and he was just laughing and smiling like, "Oh my god." But yeah, God bless the Dandies.
Upcoming tour. I don't know if we're allowed to announce it yet, but yeah, the sketch and Dandy's going through
Oh, yeah.
all of Denmark. So
Actually, we don't have a tour booked right now with Sketch. We're just kinda chilling for a second until we.
you just wrapped up a pretty large one,
Yeah,
not
no, we're
too long
taking a
ago.
little break right now because we yeah, went out for another month, and we realized we need to finish this record and, like, just take a second to recalibrate. Plus, we all do other bands and projects, and, I'm out touring with Angels right now as they're doing their 20th anniversary celebration, so I'm pretty busy with that. So, yeah, when we're back home, I think it's gonna be working on, finishing mixing the record, doing all the art, deciding what to call it too, because we haven't figured that out yet. And then once we get that done, it'll be like book shows to promote that. But I think we're gonna be playing some shows in Austin. Just we got a lot of new songs to play, and it's always best to try them out at home. I think because
Mostly covers of Dandy Warhol songs.
mostly Dandy's covers, yeah. But yeah, we'll be playing some shows back at home. I miss my bandmates. I haven't seen them in weeks. Miss those boys.
Well, Gus, I really appreciate you coming on here, man. Thank you so much.
Yeah, I appreciate you having me, man.
But before I let you go, we got some more promo to do.
Okay.
So the sketches music along with Gus's solo stuff is streaming everywhere. Wherever people get their music, that's where they can find it, right?
Everywhere, worldwide,
Everywhere
online.
in Copenhagen and whatnot.
Yeah, and then yeah, records, we got those, bandcamp.com/Gus Baldwin.
GusBaldwin.bandcamp.com, right?
Yes.
And people can buy the physical copies at permanentteeth.shopify.com, and everyone can stay up to date with news and shows and tours and all this good stuff by following you on Instagram, right? That's the best place.
Yeah, we don't have like a band Instagram or nothing, it's just me.
We're working on it. Maybe this next tour.
Well, we talked about it, it was like, the band, I mean, it's Gus Baldwin and The Sketch, but I think of the band as like, it's a collection of individuals, I don't wanna brand it, kind of why I started using my own name in the first place was like, I feel like the more you brand things, the more of a box you get put in, and I ain't gonna do that to my boys or myself. But plus, in this day and age, too, I'm tired of fucking having to do all the social media shit. I think everyone's tired of it. Like, we can just, you know, exist without it, or with like taking a step back. So I think it's good to not have too many pages. You know,
Well,
I'm
until
not making.
everybody takes a step back, at
Yeah,
buddy_Gus on Instagram to stay
yeah.
up to date
Drop me a
with news.
follow.
And do we miss anything, Gus?
Um,
Do we have anything else?
I'm not sure. Rock and roll forever. Go Spurs
And White Sox.
and White Sox today. I'm gonna be a White Sox fan for one day, but go Spurs. No, it's a big deal to us in the sketch. Fuck Oklahoma, the state, and Oklahoma City, the city, and the team, the Thunder. That's my hot take. I'm leaving it. We're diehard Spurs fans in the sketch, man. But no, I'm from North Texas. Fuck Oklahoma.
Gus
Don't like
just signing death warrants. I like it.
bad
We're
place, Oklahoma. We've never played in Oklahoma, and that's on purpose.
okay.
No disrespect. There's nice people there. It's just
Next tour. Next
yeah.
tour, all Oklahoma.
One day we're gonna have to play in Oklahoma and face the fear.
And stay up to date with that again one more time through the Instagram at buddy_Gus
All right,
on
buddy underscore
Instagram.
guy. That's me, baby.
Guys, I appreciate you. I will be out there to see the fiasco that happens in Oklahoma when that takes place.
Yeah,
Really
yeah.
looking forward
I'll
to
put
it.
you on the list.
Oh yeah, well I'll be in the crowd. I'll be
Where are you, by the way? You're in California?
yeah, Orange County.
Well, next time we're out in Cali, come out.
If you
You know,
survive Oklahoma, yeah, well I will
yeah,
see you.
we'll do it. All right, well, pleasure, Jacob. Nice to meet you,
Guys,
man.
you're the man. I'm gonna stop recording. Let's talk to you in a minute. All right.
All right.